Mr. Wallace.
Here.
Mr. Corman.
Present.
Mr. Ellison.
Here.
Mr. Pratt.
Here.
Mr. Livingston.
Here.
Mr. Culbertson.
Here.
Judge Covington.
Present. With that said, our first item for consideration is the minutes from our prior meeting. Are there any questions or comments related to those minutes as presented?
Motion.
Motion from Mr. Corman, second from Mr. Ellison. Any other questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'll abstain since I wasn't here.
Okay, please let that reflect in the record there. Thank you, sir. Transfers as presented. Questions, comments?
Motion.
Motion. Second from Mr. Pratt. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Bills and hand checks as presented.
Motion.
Motion from Mr. Ellison. Second from Mr. Jones. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Will say, just along financial items, Michelle distributed that year-end data, and very positive information. I encourage all of y'all to dig in. I know a lot of you have as well, but would just encourage you to do that. And then also just know that our staff's working hard. Current audit team is working on the 23-24 financials, or 22-23, and just there's a lot of work that goes into that, and I'm very proud of the work that our staff does, and gotten feedback from that team that our staff just does a tremendous job of providing what's asked for and having data and information available. So we're hoping to have that information, that audit complete, and an initial report before the end of August. That's the hope. So just keeping you up to date on that. Now, number 7, shares fees. Let the record reflect that $66,361.32 was submitted by our sheriff's office, Sheriff Tony Hampton. And then clerk's fees in the amount of $155,878.24 were submitted by our county clerk, Rebecca Johnson's office. Any questions or comments there? Moving on, number 8, the sheriff's tax settlement. Stacy, can you guide us?
I sent it out yesterday. I just need a motion to acknowledge receipt.
So, motion from Mr. David Livingston, a second from Mr. Rick Hostetler. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We will move past number 9, go to number 10. This is ratifying, as I shared via email. I was asked to attend a meeting in Washington, D.C. in regards to funding for economic development, and went up on Wednesday morning, left the house about 4 a.m., got to the airport about 5:30, or well, I got up about 4, and then got home about 1 a.m. on Thursday morning. My flight was delayed. It was just a quick up and back, but do want to share that I felt like it was a positive trip, and just trying to move forward with getting funding. So I'm asking you to consider ratifying that out-of-state travel for that one day. Motion from Mr. Jones, a second from Mr. Livingston. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving to number 11, ordinance 2405. This is a second reading. It's really about signage and flags. I will ask Mr. Culbertson to read the summary, and then if there's any questions, we can discuss then. Mr. Culbertson, thank you for being here.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you.
Scott County Fiscal Court Ordinance Number 24-05, an ordinance amending Scott County sign ordinance regarding flags. Summary. 1. Amends the Scott County sign ordinance to define non-commercial flag and commercial flag. 2. Allows display of non-commercial flags not exceeding 32 square feet in area or attached to poles not exceeding 32 feet in height in all zoning districts without a permit. 3. Allows one non-commercial flag per parcel exceeding 32 square feet in area and/or attached to a pole exceeding 32 feet in height to be displayed in certain districts with a conditional use permit. 4. Defines non-content based criteria that must be satisfied for the conditional use permit. 5. Allows the Board of Adjustments to approve a smaller flag or shorter pole when necessary to satisfy the criteria. 6. States that a permitted non-commercial flag that otherwise satisfies the requirements for a conditional use permit shall not be considered a sign for purposes of a limit on the number of signs in the applicable district. 7. Allows one commercial flag per parcel not exceeding 32 square feet in area or attached to a pole not exceeding 32 feet in height in commercial, industrial, and professional office districts. 8. Provides that commercial flags exceeding 32 square feet or attached to poles exceeding 32 feet in height are considered interstate signs. 9. Makes various amendments for consistency with revised provisions. 10. Provides for severability, repeal of inconsistent ordinances, and an effective date upon passage and publication. It's publicly introduced and read for the first time on June 27th, 2024, and the second readings today, July 12th, 2024.
Questions or comments?
Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second, Mr. Ellison. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Glad that we're not going to be on CNN. Fantastic there. Short-term rentals ordinance discussion, and it's really the pleasure of the court how you all want to proceed on this. But I do think it's an issue. I do think that we've started a good discussion. But Cam has produced a draft. I was really hoping to get more feedback from you all today and then be able to come back with a first reading at our next meeting. The question I wanted feedback from you all is the limit of 10 people I do not think is appropriate. What I think is appropriate is looking at the total number that the household sleeps. If you have 7 bedrooms, 2 people per bedroom plus 2, that's just an example of 16. You know, if you have 8 bedrooms, I am open and would value your all's feedback on that, but I don't think limiting it to a certain number is just, you know, I just don't think that's the way to go. Now, I'd love to hear your feedback on that, and then whatever else you'd like to discuss in regards to this potential amendment to the ordinance.
Judge?
Yes, David.
We stay in short-term rentals a lot when we travel, and especially when we go to the beach. And what I find sometimes is you'll have a room that has maybe 2 sets of bunk beds, or a bunk bed with a queen on the bottom and a single on top. And so I think limiting it to 2 per room is not a fair scenario. I think it's more of a case where we need to determine limitations on where these rentals can be located, not just in any neighborhood.
Well, David, I certainly respect what you're saying about each rental has different setups, and that's why I was kind of going with 2 per bedroom plus 2. Just, you know, but nothing's perfect. I'm certainly open to doing that, but when you're talking about limiting to one neighborhood or another, I would love to hear more about how you would decide which neighborhoods gets them and which neighborhoods don't get them.
Oh, I'm not going to be picking winners and losers.
But like that's the question to me, is how would we navigate that?
I have a
So,
comment.
do we know if the HOAs have rules on this?
I can't answer that, and that's why I wanted today just to have discussion. That's something we can try to determine, but, you know, if an HOA, I would say an HOA would have to have in their bylaws that they strictly prohibit short-term rentals. It couldn't be just, well, we don't like them. They would have to have in their bylaws.
Can an HOA do that? Isn't that beyond? Because like they can't restrict business. Like they can't say you can't have you can't watch kids in your home. You can't be a daycare.
A covenant of,
Absolutely can, I think.
a covenant of, and you're in real estate all the time. I'm gonna. Cam's not said anything. I'm out here on this limb by myself.
This other ordinance.
I do not know if, I'm not the lawyer, if an HOA can or cannot, but from what my understanding is, if it's the covenant when you buy into the into the neighborhood, they could restrict it. So,
I'll make a comment on that.
yes, sir.
I think it depends on the strength of the HOA and what they have in place and how much teeth they have in their.
In terms of enforcement.
In terms of enforcement, exactly. I mean, their only way they can do anything is levy a lien against the house, and I don't know how likely that is for a situation like that, but I want to make a comment too on the amount of people, because the complaint I had was, and we have a lot of these out in the county, 5-acre tract subdivisions where people aren't necessarily in a condensed area and they don't have an HOA, and it was a bigger house and it had a lot of people at this one particular party. And I think she likes the size limit just because it kind of steers people away from having 15, 20 people, which promotes more of a party atmosphere. And I get like families going on vacation and it's not all people renting a house to go party, but I think the neighbors have a legitimate concern, so it's something to talk about.
Does the number default to the number the owner states it sleeps?
Well, it's all enforced by the owner. So
Right,
that's
so how
what makes it
many the
hard
house
for us to,
sleeps?
I mean, we can say anything we want and put it in ordinance, but then we gotta have some sort of, and that's what we really need, I think, to look and see what our penalties can be. And, I've been told we just call the sheriff's office if it gets out of control, but how many times do you, wanna do that?
Well, back to that.
I guess the question is, when the sheriff's office gets there, what kind of teeth do they have of an out-of-control party if they're under whatever, if they don't have any ordinance or whatever to back them up, right? So if they're legally renting the place and there is no
It's private property, and
Private
they're having a
property,
party, and
they
you just
whatever.
ask them to be quiet, right? Or,
noise ordinance, might be the only thing, I guess.
but that's not in the county.
One in Coleridge.
Yeah.
There was over 100 people there.
100 people?
They were videoing a rap video there.
Dwayne was there.
You weren't supposed to tell everybody that.
Dang. I was gonna have my coming out.
Sorry.
When's the video?
But like, I mean, how do you stop? I mean,
MTV's still a
I mean, there's no way to stop. I mean, that's just.
But can the ordinance
got
say
called.
that if X happens in law enforcement's involved, that you lose your ability to have short-term rental?
That's
I
what
worry a
like.
little bit about that, because you could also have, a whatever Karen or whatever neighbor that could ruin, it couldn't be people
Discussion
sitting around a
on
fire, with a little bit of music on.
The enforcement
yelled
part
at.
here's, with ours, we have some in Harrisburg, so we're not there. But we know that there's been more people there than they said that was coming.
Right.
It's-
Like, I don't think
it
it's fair to
happens.
punish like
So I don't know how
Rob.
to enforce that part of it.
And like, I don't think it would be fair to punish, because I don't think the short-term rental people want that. I don't think they want 100 people. Like Rob doesn't want his. So if I know there's 100 people at my party, or not a party, at my short-term rental, like, well, if I call myself to get these people out of here, then I'm going to lose my short-term rent. Like, I feel like we're kind of punishing. They don't want it to happen. I don't feel like.
But in residential areas and just like, and that's just an extreme example, but.
Sure. Yeah, that's.
But you still don't know, and the concern some of these people have called me are just like, we don't know anything about these people, and all of a sudden they're out in our neighborhoods, and our kids are out playing, and they've got 30 people at the house, and we don't know who these people are. And I see that concern, but I mean, it's,
I mean, that's in every neighborhood in
And
Florida.
I was gonna say, you could have
Yeah.
a graduation party and there'd be 30 people or they wouldn't know.
yeah, but those are most likely local people that, I don't know, you get out of town people and it just makes people concerned.
No, I agree.
So what I'm hearing is, let's do a little research about HOAs. And is there a location that maybe at planning and zoning that HOAs have to submit their covenants?
I mean, they would have to file them with the clerk,
So-
county clerk's office.
Is there some way we
But
can?
I don't know that they have to send them to planning and zoning. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd like to know too if they
And
can
you could
actually.
probably ask Devin, because the city has done so much work in the past on HOA laws.
Gotcha. We'll do that. And then I'm still hearing that, you know, we don't want to, we want to be fair about the number, but at the same time, try to find a medium, a happy medium in the middle there, maybe. And then,
Jeremy, how many times do we, I mean, this is an extreme situation.
It's pretty rare. I can think of one other instance that was over in the Ironworks area, Muir Lane on Midway Road. There's a Airbnb over there that had a large party that
Like,
very similar.
like once a year, once every 2 years, more,
Once a year.
maybe.
Yeah.
but
We don't know the city, I guess, what they,
I'm not sure about that.
but that was a doozy.
Yes.
Yeah, so we've gotten some discussion here. Is there any other items that we need to try to get some information to share with you all on, and then we can come back? Anything else?
Can we see like similar counties, maybe like a Madison, a Warren, Hardin, to see what they may have?
That's a great idea, Squire Livingston. Appreciate it. No, that's a great,
Okay, Did somebody already say that?
no. I said that's a great
Title they
idea.
describe you.
A great idea, Magistrate Livingston. And I think that's a good place that we can look. We can do that. So that's what I wanted today. If there's no other recommendations or suggestions, then we'll move on to 13, Resolution 2417, Elections Grant. Ask Cam to read this.
Alrighty. Fiscal year 2025, Help America Vote Act, or HAVA, Election Security. Authorizing Resolution 2417, County of Scott. Adoption of a resolution of the Scott County Fiscal Court authorizing the filing of fiscal year 2025 Physical Security Help America Vote Act, or HAVA, application with the Kentucky State Board of Elections, or SBE, for up to $8,300. Authorizing and directing the Scott County Judge Executive to execute any documents which are deemed necessary by SBE to carry out this project, and authorizing the Judge Executive to act as the authorized correspondent for this project. Whereas Scott County, or county, desires to purchase voter privacy booths approved by the State Board of Elections, or SBE, on behalf of the residents of Scott County by supporting the HAVA Election Security Project, and whereas it is recognized that HAVA monies available to the county for the purposes stated herein pursuant to HAVA election security impose certain obligations and responsibilities upon the county and will require, among other things, 1, approve of a satisfactory application transmitted to SBE for approval, and 2, other obligations of the county in connection with receiving the HAVA grant monies for the purposes stated herein. Now therefore be it resolved this 12th day of July 2024 by the Scott County Fiscal Court that a fiscal year 25 Physical Security Help America Vote Act application on behalf of the county for HAVA monies up to $8,300 project shall be submitted to SBE. The county shall provide such additional information and furnish such documentation as may be required, and the county judge executive shall act as the authorized department correspondent for this project, done this 12th day of July 2024.
Questions or comments? Would there be a motion?
Motion.
Motion from Mr. Hostetler,
Second.
second from Mr. Jones. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. That'll lead us to number 14, Resolution 2418, Road Funds Agreement. Before we consider this, I'd just like to, JR and I and Stacy started this process, and what was it? We looked back to 21? So we made this original request in 21 and repeated it again, and we really felt like we know that Triport Road needs attention. Maybe wasn't on that very top tier, but it was like the next step, and knew that the price tag is a big price tag. But that road gets so much traffic, and it's so important that we felt like let's just keep plugging along with this, effort. And then the state legislature shifts how they handle this discretionary funding. We had the request already prepared. Representative Pratt and I communicated, and Representative Pratt helped navigate this, and Senator Thayer as well, and then got it, it got placed into the state budget. So here we are, and we're going to get $480,000. JR's already spoken to Mark Reed. The hope is to get this done before they shut down the blacktop plant in November, and he thinks he can get it done along with our other items that we have on our list. And I think this is just a testament that, hey, we are intentionally working to get grant monies. And JR has said this since I've been judge. If you are collaborative with the state, and if we have made a practice of giving those flex funds back, to help them extend their state road projects, like on Ironworks, they get an extra mile here or there. And JR has said this, and I've bought JR's, I've bought his package here. But it's true what he said, and I think this is testament to it, that, be collaborative with it, and it's going to come back to you. And $480,000 later, what this will do for us really next year is we'll start hitting other county roads, neighborhood roads, that we would have had to put this money towards on Triport. So it's a big plus. JR, you want to say anything?
We appreciate everything the state does for us.
Absolutely.
Get that money.
No.
Plus we got, $64,000.
Great point, and I shared that as well, that emergency road aid that's helping on the slide damage on Hinton. It's the same story, and getting it filled out, getting it submitted, and then making phone calls, talking to people. And I appreciate JR and Stacy's help. Any comments or questions from anybody? Cam, could you read the summary there and the resolution?
Scott County Fiscal Court Resolution Number 2418. Resolution adopting and approving the execution of a memorandum of agreement between the Scott County Fiscal Court and the Commonwealth of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, Department of Highways, for and in the amount of $480,000 to resurface Triport Road. Whereas the Scott County Fiscal Court, or Scott County, and Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, Department of Highways, or Department, desire to resurface Triport Road in Scott County, and whereas the General Assembly has authorized reimbursement to Scott County by the Department up to $480,000 in county priority projects funding for the completion of the project. Now therefore be it resolved by the Fiscal Court of the County of Scott, Commonwealth of Kentucky. The Fiscal Court does hereby ratify and adopt all statements, representations, warranties, covenants, and agreements contained in said agreement, and does hereby accept the funds provided in said agreement, and by such acceptance agrees to all the terms and conditions therein stated. And the Judge Executive of the county is hereby authorized and directed to sign said agreement as set forth on behalf of the Fiscal Court of Scott County, and the Fiscal Court Clerk of Scott County is hereby authorized and directed to certify thereto. done this 12th day of July 2024.
Questions or comments? Would there be a motion?
Motion.
Motion for Mr. Ellison. Second for Mr. Pratt. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you all. Thanks, everybody. That leads us to number 15, Road Department new hire, Mr. Mudrack, Mr. Brandenburg. Any information y'all want to share?
Yeah, Judge Magistrates, I'm very pleased to recommend the appointment of Brandon Jerniger as an equipment operator and laborer with a CDL. His appointment will be effective July 29th at $24.41 an hour. Very pleased to be able to consider Brandon. He has more than 15 years of experience, and like I said, he also has a CDL license, so a nice addition to the team.
Teamwork makes the dreams work,
Yeah.
especially when it's snowing about 8 inches.
That's
and
right.
We're out there at it, so.
And I'm sure we all wish we could have some snow right now to cool things off.
No, I'm not doing that. Any questions or comments? Would there be a motion?
Motion.
Motion from Mr. Jones. Second from Chad Wallace. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion is approved. Next, EMS promotion.
Yes, I'm very pleased to recommend 3 promotions to you, but I'm going to start off with one special one. I think we have reason for celebration here, and that's why Chris and his team and John Hobbs is here. I'll start off with the recommendation and let Chris talk a little bit more about why this is special. So I'm going to just start off by saying that we're recommending John Hobbs to be promoted to the paramedic position effective July 20th, which is the start of the next pay period at $18.89 an hour. And Chris, if you would just talk a little bit about why this is so special.
Right. Good morning, Judge Magistrates.
Good morning.
Very momentous occasion, and I wanted to come before you and just share some of the fruits of your labor. A couple of years ago, Judge and I went out to BCTC and told them we wanted to create a paramedic program, and through a lot of hard work and red tape, we got that done. And so I wanted to share with you the first paramedic to graduate from our paramedic program that the court helped to create, and that's Mr. John Hobbs.
Well,
He worked.
Just thank you to the Fiscal Court and Georgetown Scott County EMS for allowing me the ability to improve my knowledge and skill set to better serve the citizens of Scott County and Georgetown.
well, we are thankful for your service and your commitment, and this is just, I mean, the court, sharing this vision and working together to fill a need for our community. And there can't be a more important need than emergency medical. It goes along with fire and sheriff and road department, all those things, but this got to be right up there at the top. And for this to go from us talking about it and then trying to put into action a program, and then getting collaboration from our partners at BCTC, and then recruiting people like you to step in and serve. I mean, credit goes to the court and the magistrates for believing in this and committing the funds, and then your all's leadership and your team's leadership, the training that you all do. I mean, our community is the better because of this and this type of work. And the court, I appreciate your all's leadership, and I'd love to take a picture.
Sure.
With all of us.
Word real quick, yes. I've watched John grow down in Stamping Ground.
All right.
So, I'm just thrilled to death that he's done this. This is a hard-working, dedicated man right here. He puts forth the effort and does everything the right way. And he's taken so much knowledge back to the volunteer fire department Stamping Ground. I appreciate the heck out of you, John. I really do.
Thank you.
Can we do a motion for this one separate so I can write?
Sure. So we're going to do a motion to approve this promotion, and then we'll come back for the rest. Could I? Motion. Second for Mr. Ellison. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Let's do let's finish this, and then we'll do a picture.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So in addition to John's promotion, we also have Marcus Stevens, who is also moving from a EMT position to paramedic through the scholarship program, or the tuition support program we have in place. And he got his education with EMT PKY in Lexington. His promotion will be effective July 20th, and his new pay rate will be $17.90 an hour. So once again, very glad that we're able to build and grow our own paramedics. As you all know, the paramedic position is probably one of the most difficult positions we have to fill in Scott County government, and we're just, if we can't find people, I'm glad that we're able to find people that want to step up, become a paramedic, and we kind of grow our own there, so it's a very positive thing. The last one is a EMT that we're moving from a part-time capacity to full-time. His appointment will also be effective July 20th, and his new pay rate will be $14.14 an hour. So presenting those two recommendations to you for approval.
Would there be a motion? Motion, Mr. Jones, second from Kelly Corman. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you all. This is great news, and let's do a quick picture. You gotta get in the middle. Thank you. Congratulations. That's fantastic. We need to yeah, probably. Hold up. Should we get one? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you all. That'll move us down to new business, and just want to go through a few things. First and foremost, bids on the Justice Center, as I shared at the workshop, it came in. We have one other bid package that they have rebid, the masonry. The bid opening is on the 18th at 2 o'clock in this room. Stacy, can you make note that we need to make sure to reserve this room for that? All right, yeah, I should have known that. But we're going to have we had a project development board meeting yesterday, so we're going to open the bids on the 18th for the masonry, and then at 2:30 we will have a special call project development board meeting that will essentially approve all the bid packages. And Trace Creek shared yesterday at our meeting that they are going to go ahead at risk and they're going to mobilize and get things lined up. It'll still take them 3 or 4 weeks to get contracts straight, but after Thursday, the AOC will take the documentation and it'll go through AOC, and it'll take about a month to get the final approval. But Trace Creek's going to go ahead and start working on mobilization then instead of waiting a whole month. So we're going to have a building project going, and it's very positive. There has been a little bit of adjustment on the fire suppression bid. 2 of the fire suppression bids were not complete, so they had to go to the 3rd bid package, and that was a little bit higher because it included, the other 2 bid packages did not include the site work. For some reason, the first 2 only included in the building for fire suppression. So the 3rd was a reputable company that's actually doing fire suppression at the high school. So feel very good about that, but I just want you all to know that this is going to be a reality. At our 25th meeting, at the meeting on the 25th, RJ Palmer will be here just to give you all an update. we will issue the bonds. The AOC will pay the debt payment. It does not count against our bonding capacity. It's just the way it's structured. So RJ will be here and give you an update about the bond sale. And he's with the inflation news that we've gotten, he's very optimistic that we're going to get a good deal on our bonds. So any questions about any of that? Going next, wanted to talk about an issue at GC Park at Great Crossing Dam Park, and if Zach could put up the slide. I've had a couple of calls here lately, and I've driven through it intentionally. Zach, could you, any way you could move that picture down just a little bit to show a little bit more of the picture, Zach? I don't really want to see what's at the bottom. I'd like to see what's at top if possible. So while he's working on that, yeah, that'll work. That'll work. Yes, sir. Just had calls, and this is not new. I mean, the calls that I've had are not new. And Chief Nettles, I'm sure you can share that you all probably get calls about Great Crossing Dam more than you'd like. But, you know, I'd gotten calls about people backing their vehicles right up to the creek along inside that drive in that parking area right in there. And also about open containers and alcohol. And Sheriff Hampton and Chief Nettles have increased patrols down there. And yeah, but this is nothing new. I mean, since I've been judge, we've talked about this. And what JR and I talked about was kind of like what we've used at Lyle Road Park. Could we take that same and put the low guardrail-like structure in along that edge to keep people from backing up there straight to the creek? And then you could also put it along the boat ramp to, just to delineate that as well. And then at the very top of that picture, there's ballards that are designed to keep people off the walkway. And JR's gotten a price of about $6,700. And JR, do you want to add anything to it?
The 6x6 post with 2 bay board, it works great out the Lyle Road.
And it would be low that
Good.
if it would flood, not much, I'm not saying it couldn't be torn out of the ground, but I mean, we're talking about 2 feet off the ground, it's not even 3 feet off the ground. But it just gives us a little bit of like trying to control that. And that would allow people to not have to dodge cars to get to the creek bank to fish. Now, I'd like to know the pleasure of the court and what you all think, and then JR, Michelle, Stacy, and I will find out what account to take this out of. But I do think
where would you end it? Would you come all the way through?
We'd end to that curve, I think, because really right there at that curve on the coming, on the on the creek side, there's a bench right there, and then it kind of. It would be a good spot. What do y'all think?
Do they park? Don't a lot of folks pull all the way around and then park along over the edge, kind of there? So you might, are you going to allow some space there for that to still happen, or do you want to push them to the back?
Actually, we thought about coming right down the edge of the road. I think that's the boundaries of the park, isn't it?
Yes.
Coming right down along the edge of the road and still have that grassy area and the benches and everything, but not be able to pull a vehicle over there.
Try to get people to park
Yeah.
outside is what
Yes.
you're really
Yeah.
looking for, right? I don't know if there's a way to eventually maybe create more parking for people over there. Might help some of that. I mean,
Yeah.
There's not a lot of parking that's not grass there. I don't know.
I mean, I would be open to that. I just was
Yeah. I mean,
And
that's
maybe,
your first step,
maybe
but
do that in the
will
future.
push 'em. They're just gonna, you know,
You know,
I can see them parking just on the road more
yeah,
and blocking the road more as people.
no.
try to come
And then if you look,
You don't give them an option to park.
yeah, if you look down closer to 227 there, you know, below the dam, you know, on weekends, they park all in that grass. I mean, that grass is full.
That's your kayakers that park
And that's your
down there.
kayakers. I've seen, the boarders. I mean, they're out there, you know,
They appreciate that little spot.
yeah, that little spot's good, and
I agree with the barrier there, because any ramp I go to when I fish, I see that stuff all the time, just to keep people away, so
yeah,
bank fishermen can go fishing.
yeah.
They don't have to worry about vehicles parking.
And people can carry a chair over there and not have to dodge, and that's what happens quite a bit now. I got a message last night in the pictures, and there was somebody on a jet ski right there. And I wanted to ask Chief Nettles, and he like that, and I responded and said I probably wouldn't recommend that, but it's a navigable waterway, and I don't know if it's illegal. I don't think it's illegal, but is that the case? I mean, yeah, to my knowledge, I wouldn't recommend it, but
I was gonna check the jet ski.
they had pictures, and they were, you know, it's just, you know, it is what it is.
Dry as it's been.
Yeah, you hit a stump and you'll be in bad shape.
A lot of guys take their equipment down there just to put it in, just to make sure it's running.
Yeah,
Instead of trying
good.
to drive
That's a
to the
good
lake
point. But if y'all support that, we don't need a motion to do it. I don't think we'll just move. We'll just do it.
What's the estimate?
$6,700.
So will it go from 227 all the way back, or just from
No.
the curve?
No, just in that curve up there, down to the boat ramp, and then we'll go on the other side of the boat ramp and do the same up to the edge. And-
Bollards are.
You might email that,
what do you say, David?
email.
Yeah, I can email you that. Yes, sir. I will. And then I think it would be wise to see about putting some gravel down in the future for some additional little parking maybe. So we'll look at that. But that little piece of park is a high use area, period. High use. I want to ask Mike, Mike, could you give us an update on the train derailment work that you all did in training this week? And then you had the multi-fire departments, you had, I mean, it was a big effort, and I just wanted to publicly say on behalf of the court, thank you all for your training and efforts to prepare. And I know EMS was involved as well.
That's what I was going to say. It wasn't just us. Training division from EMS had a big role in planning this, putting it together. Our whole goal was to get all of the departments playing well together. So there was an evacuation piece, simulating that the dorms were occupied. People needed to be evacuated from there. The hospital participated with walking wounded, as well as ambulance transported people that had been deconned. I've had nothing but good comments from the community. Just us trying to pre-plan for a bad possibility. As I was quoted on the news saying, we've got multiple lane miles of interstate, we've got a lot of train tracks. The chances of having a hazmat situation like this are more possible than we'd like to admit. So anytime that we can put together all of these individuals and all these agencies and practice what we would need to do, just a great opportunity. So appreciate all of the other department heads. There was overtime fees. There was a whole bunch of things that had to be allocated in order for this to be successful. But all in all, I thought it was a really good operation.
Well, I just wanted to publicly thank you and your staff, Regina, and for coordinating, and then thanks to our other agencies, EMS,
Right.
Sheriff's Department, fire, city, and much needed, and it doesn't go unnoticed, and appreciate that. And then I wanted to ask you, could you give the court just a short update on the tornado shelters that
Yes.
we have worked on and worked on and worked on and finally are about to become reality?
Absolutely. At about 4:30 yesterday afternoon, I got a phone call from the manufacturer. 8 a.m., there'll be a crane in Stamping Ground installing that shelter
On Monday.
on Monday. The foundation crew is mobilizing Sunday afternoon. They'll be here to do the Lyle Road, or the Reno site Monday morning as well. So we'll have a foundation by end of business on Reno Drive, and 10 to 14 days later, we'll be installing that shelter. So unless something goes seriously wrong, August 1st is our goal.
And those are actually going to accommodate a few more people than we thought originally.
Correct.
What's our number, Mike?
It's actually going to hold 62 people per location.
Okay.
So I believe we can hold more. We need to get with the fire marshal and see what we can do. But, like when we do the tornado evaluations at public buildings, I know what this room used to hold, but if we have to, how much can we jam in here? So.
And what we've shared is this just is a first step in trying to provide some shelter to some vulnerable
Yes.
areas. Let me spit that out. So Mike, thank you. Any questions for Mike? Anybody? Thanks, Mike.
Hey, if I have one more item.
Yes,
if I
sir.
can.
Yes, sir.
Finally got a confirmation from FEMA that we are reaching our finish line on the Leesburg Pike property.
I was going to ask that, and I didn't want to
Yeah.
gosh almighty, that.
Yeah, Cam is executing a deed restriction covenant. As soon as I have that executed document in hand, they're ready to issue the check and close this case. So,
But we can put it out for bid.
right, but you'll be receiving the check for $275,000, and then go ahead and, have the capability of selling that 5-acre lot for, whatever agricultural or something.
Yeah. So that would be my recommendation to the court, that we put it up for bid, and
Right.
and I think that it would. I'm confident that there will be people interested in that piece of property out there on Leesburg. So appreciate it very
Thank you.
much.
Appreciate it.
No. With that said, I do want to share that last night, let's back up. Rick Hostetler, and Dwayne Ellison, and myself have served on this round for the last year and a half. We have met many, many times with the Comp Plan Steering Committee. That steering committee had 18 total members, and that comp plan update every 5 years there's an update, and Rob's been very familiar with that process, and I know others have served in the past, but we've gone through that process. There was a presentation last night. There's many public meetings, many opportunities for feedback, and earlier this week the steering committee endorsed the plan, and then last night at the Planning Commission meeting, the Planning Commission took more public comment, listened to that, and then they approved the comp plan as presented in a 6-2 vote, and just wanted to share that with you all as well. And that's a big process, a very a lot of information, and appreciate all the work that went into that. And I will comment that Joe Kane, last night I believe was Joe Kane's last official act. He came back and helped navigate that. He'd done so much work, and just want to mention Joe Kane publicly as his service to Georgetown, Scott County, many years, and very dedicated man, did a great job, and we will miss Joe Kane's, just institutional knowledge and leadership and all he did. So best of luck to him. And the Planning Commission is working. They have that position advertised, and they're working to fill that. So be happy to try to answer any questions about that from last night. All right. Is there any new business from any court member? Anything any court member wants to mention?
Judge?
Yes, Rick Hostetler.
Have you had a chance to talk with Mayor Wagner the last few days?
Mayor Wagner called on Wednesday and left a message, and the message was that his understanding was that the railroad permits associated with our broadband project had been signed and approved. I have checked with Ben Ucelis, and Ben has said yes, there is movement, but they have not scheduled the work. They haven't been able to, that's the next step. They got the approval. I think now they've got to schedule the work. So when that work gets scheduled, I will share that with the court. Is that what you were talking about, Rick?
It is. I think that's what the mayors and Fiscal wants to do. That the next step is schedule and do work.
And circling back to that, Rick, and Rick being part of the comp plan, one of the previous goals of the comp plan was to improve broadband availability out in the county. That was a goal. The fiscal court was tasked with implementing that action item. And I think we have done a fantastic job, and kudos to the fiscal court. We're trying to wrap this thing up, but they have put out 400 miles of fiber. They've passed over 4,700 houses that have access that didn't have access. And thanks to that $3.1 million grant from the NTIA, there's no general fund dollars that are going into this project. And our community is so much better for this. And just really, really a big thing. And that shows you, the comp plan, why is it important? It set a goal. It had action items. We went to work on that and got it almost done. So I'm very proud of that. We've still got some areas that need to be finished, and there's some AT&T and poles that need to be approved as well to knock out. But we work every Tuesday on an update call with Spectrum KU, and we're working to get that finished. So any other comments?
I had a question about, can you find out an update from them on when they will be upgrading their system within the city?
Yes, sir. I will, and report back. Anything else? Anybody in our audience have any public comment or any staff member? I did neglect this piece. I had a note in here. Chief Ward, Chief Baker, could you all just make comment about the Lyle Road fire? And you all did a lot of good work, and it was EMS was out there because of the heat. EMA was out there. And then we got JR involved as well. He got a local.
Hardest working man in Scott.
Yes. But this is the piece of property that has been involved with code enforcement, and it was in the process of being abated. But just there was a fire, and I'll just let you give a short comment.
Outstanding job with it, and we wouldn't have been able to do what we did without the team effort from all the agencies, EMS, EM, Sheriff's Department, Road Department, City Fire. They all played a role in it. We even had a tanker from Lexington Fire Department come out as well. But, as you all know, this is a property we've dealt with numerous times. We've actually had a fire there about a year or so ago. So, it was hot, and but we do have a guy, one of our members, Lieutenant Cromer, that is investigating that fire. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah, but I just want to make mention of the response and, again, the team effort
Yeah.
and just, you know, and just don't want to, you know, there was, the reason that it was a challenge is because of the availability of fire hydrants and location, and you all had to tank water in.
Yeah.
And this is nothing new. We've talked about it. When we're blessed in Scott County, like all of Scott County has availability of drinking water, but those lines out in the county were not built to address fire suppression necessarily. There are some areas of the county that have better fire suppression as compared, and I think we're really trying on the technical review committee.
That's correct. Chief Baker every month goes to those meetings, you know, and those meetings are our opportunity to speak with the developers on, you know, whatever they're developing, what, you know, will be our requirements. So we have a presence at those meetings every month, and you know, because it is our job for the fire safety of the citizens of Scott County, and just basically direct those developers in what would be required from them, you know, if they wanted to develop this property. But we're working on that. You know, it's just a work in progress that, you know, we're continually looking at areas of the county that we can improve on with the hydrant situation.
Yeah, so that'll be something to continue to look at, and a strategic goal to try to address some of the issues there. So we'll do that. Thank you.
Where would that put us on the abatement process?
So that was a good question, and I was going to follow up with that. So Seth Johnson, code enforcement, getting 3 prices to just clear it all. And there is still a small freestanding garage, but it's going, with the series of fires, the recommendation from code enforcement is to now just clear it all up. And to be honest with you, it'd probably make it easier to get to abate it. And so we're going to have 3 prices. They're going to give me those prices, and then we'll move forward with getting it cleared up. I'll just move, once we get the lowest price, we'll just move forward, or the lowest and best price. We'll move forward with trying to get that abated. Any other questions there?
Thank you all.
And then if there's no other new business, then I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session, KRS 61810 1B. Would there be a motion to do that? Motion from Ryan Pratt.
Second.
Second from Mr. Jones. All those in favor? We are going to end of executive session. We will call Chad, Rick, and David. Okay, with that said, would there be a motion to come out of an executive session? Motion, would there be a second? Second from Mr. Ellison. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? So we are out of executive session, and let the record reflect that there was no action coming out of executive session. Any other, if not any other business, I don't think there is, would there be a motion to adjourn? Oh, hold up.
The sheriff's office. It just seems like they're moving pretty slow out there to me. I'm just,
And I have the same concerns, and
I'm worried now.
I'm concerned as well. And the next update meeting is on the 30th at 9 a.m. And if you want to come, please come. But
I just drove by there the other day about 2 o'clock.
the steel is not.
Two guys working.
The steel has like what they're saying is the steel people that are hanging the steel that's the issue. Yeah.
For the record, I thought the same thing. Like, I don't know a whole lot about construction, as you all do, but we go out there. Well, we go out there a lot. But I thought actually told my wife that I was like, man, I feel like this is taking forever. But I was like, I don't know how long it should take.
I just drive by every day on the way home.
Yeah.
I don't know anything.
So, and you brought that up, and I failed to make note of this. Yesterday afternoon late, Mr. Ian Beatty sent an email confirming that the claim from Marilla on the EMS bad soils work, it had been at $190,000. It after Thoroughbred and they've all met, it's down to $147. It's going to be submitted to you all. Do you all want me to have Marilla, a representative from Marilla, and Mr. Beatty here to share at our next meeting about that?
Are they waiting on that to do stuff?
No, it's like they fixed it all, and like they're putting block.
They're not moving a whole lot.
No, well, JR and I were out there earlier this week. Are they putting up block now on the walls? That's what my understanding was. So they're putting the block up on the walls, which is positive, but it's. I think everybody knows that. I think the biggest issue is labor, and it's a challenge. And